Hi everyone. Happy New Year for those of you who are celebrating Lunar New Year. I hope that this will take like maybe an hour. At the most it would take 1.5 hours. Pretty sure you can like fast forward this too. So alright, let's get started. So for week 6 we are going to be searching for sources, but first I also want to teach you a little bit about citation, but not too much because it's actually quite easy to understand this. And if you look at the worksheet that I have uploaded to each of your personal Google folders, you can see that there is some explanation there already. Okay, let's do a quick recap of last week. We talked about academic honesty, and there's really 2 issues here for me for academic honesty. Firstly, that you give credit where credit is due, and that's why you should cite sources, and I'll teach you about that later on. And the second thing is to show evidence of independent thinking, which means that you need to really read the text yourself. Don't go to ChatGPT or some LLM to help you understand it. It can help you understand it, but don't get it to do the summary for you or do any of the writing about the sources for you. Okay, it's much better if you use your own words to show the reader what you understand of the text. All right, don't be attracted or drawn to the way ChatGPT or LLMs seem to write things so quickly and so nicely. Sometimes the polished writing hides a lot of vagueness and a lot of generalizations about the text. Okay, so really try to go and read the text by yourselves. The second thing that we looked at last week was looking at what an academic summary is. And an academic summary consists of 4 things. You can see on the slide there: a rhetorical situation, who wrote it, for example, Butts. Who was he? He was a literary critic, he was a philosopher, an essayist, and all these sort of qualifications help the reader understand why we are using his writing to answer the question. It makes them perhaps also feel more convinced of what you're saying and how you come to or arrive at an opinion because you are using these credible sources to answer your question. The second one is the overall argument, and this you can't really run away from, right? You have to give the reader an overall view of what the source is saying, what are the aims maybe, or the motivations of why the author or authors were writing this text. The third one is the main claims. What are the main points? What are the main opinions that the author or authors have? What are they writing about, basically? And while I would say sometimes it might be nice to have a source that really is all about your topic, practically speaking, not everyone writes things that are so easy for you to say that this person is actually writing about my topic. So what you have to do is, when you understand the text, you have to be able to pick and select the kinds of claims or the kinds of information that help you answer your question, and those are the main claims in a sense. Those can also function as the main claims. Obviously, you shouldn't choose sources that have only like maybe one small section that talking about your topic or helping you to answer the questions. Those mean that those are not the main ideas of the text. Okay, it could be just some small detail, and it could be taken out of context as well. Okay. So I guess what I'm saying is that you may be able to find a text that is wholly talking about your topic, but most of the time you can't. Sometimes they may, half of it may be devoted to your topic, and in that half, what are the main claims? Okay, what are the main and relevant claims that help you answer your question? You have to be able to understand that. And lastly, the evidence that the authors use to support the main claims. These are usually examples, some details, important details that help to support the main claims. It could also be things like real life examples. Those would be good as well. Okay, that's the recap of last week. Okay, this is a reminder of the thinking routine that is helping us to do the body of your op-ed. Okay, and this thinking routine comes from Newell and Lucky 2019. It's called Interdisciplinary Habits of Mind. So the first one is drawing insights from diverse perspectives, and next, evaluating insights, modifying insights, and integrating insights into comprehensive understanding of the issue. And we mapped this onto the next four skills. The skill of representing the text, and also the next three skills that we are going to teach you, which are evaluate and apply, synthesis, and argument. Okay, so evaluate and apply I'll probably cover next week. Synthesis will be after the break, although I will introduce it a little bit to you next week as well, and then argument at the end, near the end of the semester. So keep these interdisciplinary habits of mind in mind as you are writing the essay, okay? So our learning outcomes, basically just two things, why and you should cite sources and how to cite sources. And also I really want you to start searching for a source to respond to your question. Okay, so for in-text citations, there are three common ways of doing citations. I've put them on the slide for you. There are the underlined words, and then there's the highlighted part. The highlighted part is the in-text citation. The underlined parts are what you want to emphasize in the sentence. So if the quote is very important, just front load it. If the people who wrote the text are very important, very famous, then you front load it if that's what you want to emphasize. And if like the design or the study or like something else about the paper or the source is important, then front load that when you are introducing like either the source or the quote or the study itself. Okay, I'm also going to point out something that will make me seem a little bit nitpicky. If you look at the Palladino and Wade, so in the first two over here, you have this and A and D, and then you have in the second bullet point A and D. But when you get to the third bullet point, you see that it's become an N%, and this is what citations tend to do, right? When it goes into the brackets, when the whole citation goes into the brackets, the author's names go into the brackets, then the A and D changes to an N%, right? There will also be other things like et al, E-T space A-L dot. That means and others or and colleagues, right? So that one is for three or more authors. So if you have, let's say, Palladino, Wade, and Tan, then you can go Palladino et al. Okay, so that's easier. Then you don't have to keep spelling out the authors' names. There are two kinds of citations. You have in-text or you have end of text. In-text are what you use when you are writing about the author's source or the information, any information given to you that you are wanting to cite, that in the essay itself or in the piece of writing itself. That's why we call it in-text citations, right? So for in-text citations, you can see I've highlighted it for you. I've drawn a circle for you over here, right? Shamugan, 2021, and that goes into brackets. That is an example of in-text citations. If you are putting it at the end of a sentence, then you have to put it before the full stop. That's another thing about the nitpickiness of everything. Yep. For citations, yeah. So remember, if it goes in the brackets, the A and D changes to an N%, that symbol. If the brackets for the citations go to the end of the sentence, you have to put it before the full stop, okay, before you close the sentence. End of text citations are quite familiar to you. I think all of you have probably done like a references section before. Those are what we call end of text citations. So this is where you have the full acknowledgement of the source. So in the in-text citations that you saw earlier, you realize there are only like very minimal kinds of information, right? Maybe the page number, the author's name, definitely, and the year in which the source was published. Here at the end of your paper, you should have references sections that is a reference section that gives you all of the information that any reader, if they wanted to go and look at the source that you referred to, they can find that source, right? So for example, here you can see you have the name, you have the full date, okay, for example, especially if it was a newspaper article, you have the title. You also have the URL here. You have the date it was retrieved, right? You also have like where it was published, which web page. So that's the Ministry of Home Affairs web page, right? So end of text citations, just you have to give the full information, right? All information necessary to locate, identify, and distinguish the source from others. So when you're citing sources, you would have seen in the previous slide that there's a lot of information that you have to provide the reader, especially in the reference section, right? Are you supposed to type it out all by yourselves? No, even I wouldn't do that, okay? I would go to, but I wouldn't use a citation software unless I have a lot of sources. I don't know why. I think I don't really trust those because they make mistakes, right? So usually either I go to Google Scholar, or when I go to NTU Library, they also help anyone who needs to cite come up with the end of text references section, those kinds of end of text citations. So you can try that. So what I'm showing you here on the slide here, this one over here, this is actually Google Scholar. All right, so Google Scholar is very kind. They will provide you like all the citations if you click on this like cite. So look for the little quotation mark and you click on that, and it will give you the citation in different citation styles as well, like MLA, APA, like IEEE. For those of you from engineering, they will give you those full citations in that citation style. All right, for CC1, can you please make sure that you're using APA citations? There are guides here. All right, there's a Mendeley. Sometimes I use Mendeley if I have a lot, if I have like 20, 30, 50 citations or end of text citations, I use Mendeley. APA style.org will give you more information about this, so you can go and look at this as well. This is what I was talking about earlier. If you click on the quotation mark, when you search for a source on Google Scholar, this will come out, and you have things like MLA, APA, Chicago style, Harvard style, Vancouver style. You know what? I don't see IEEE, so maybe Google Scholar doesn't do IEEE. But the NTU library has. So please make sure to, if you cannot find a citation and you want to check it, go to the NTU library, look for the source, and click again on the cite button, and it will give you the citation styles, right? So for CC1, we are just looking at APA citations, okay? APA citations are like, some people say they are the most organized. That's why they are so popular. Even like IEEE is very, very similar to APA style. So if you learn APA style, it's quite easy to transfer that knowledge into other citation styles as well. And this is where you can get the end of text citation if you are in NTU library. All right, so please use NTU library, guys. I mean, you guys pay a lot of money to come to NTU, and part of that money is actually going into like giving you lots and lots of resources in the NTU library, okay? There's also a way to connect your Google Scholar to the NTU library if you want to find out more. I think later in this deck of slides, there is a slide that helps you to connect Google Scholar to the NTU library. Now, I will only need the references section or the references page in assignments 2 and 3. So if you have done the assignment 1 already and you actually did look for a background source. I mean, it's not necessary to go to background sources, but some of you actually did because you needed to prove like there was a certain event that happened, for example, right? So you cited a newspaper article. Now, do you need a references page for that? Ideally, yes, but if you didn't have that, that's fine. That's okay. Okay, so you will not get penalized for assignments 1, but for assignment 2 and 3, definitely you will need your references page. All right, there's also a sample references page available on the tutorial site under content. I've already uploaded it for you there, so if you don't know what it should look like, please have a look at that. And that's really it about in-text citations and citations in general. Please complete the in-text citation worksheet in your Google Personal folder. I think that should give you most of all the knowledge you need for citations in CC0001. Okay, and this is not by part of your assessment for CC0001. Okay, this in-text citation worksheet. You can complete it by the end of week 8, which is like after the break. Okay, so don't stress and don't feel pressured that, oh no, you got so many things to do. You can take it slow. All right, I know your midterms are coming up. All right, now that you know what to do with your sources, and by that I mean that you now know how to summarize and how to cite sources, we are going to start your search for sources. Okay, by the end of this lesson or by the end of this session, you know, whether you're on Gather Town with me or whether you're looking at this or viewing this PowerPoint slide on your own, by the end of this, you should really have looked for one source and confirmed one source for your op-ed. All right, some of you might be wondering like what kind of sources would be okay to use in CC0001 or like in academic writing. So there are 7 here on the slide. You have research papers from peer-reviewed journals. Can I just say that a journal and the research paper are 2 different things, okay? A journal is a collection of research papers. So don't write in your op-ed that, oh, in a journal written by Palladino and Wade. It is not a journal. A journal is a collection of articles, right? So you have research papers from peer-reviewed journals. There's online content generated by AI, no less. Medium articles, TED Talks, which are videos. Newspaper articles are commentaries. Academic magazines like Scientific American. YouTube videos, right? So what do you think would be suitable? Have a think. Now, if you said that research papers would be suitable, that's like the easiest, right? I mean, obviously, because we are in university, so research papers are very suitable for academic writing and for CC1. Obviously, number 2 would not be because again, there's no way to check or verify the sources right here. So if you see something that says that, oh, this content was generated by AI, I would think that, you know, it probably isn't suitable for CC0001 or for any academic writing. However, there are some newspapers I know who use AI to generate like summaries at the beginning of the article, and that's okay because the rest of the article was probably, not the rest, but the entire article was probably written by a human journalist, right? So that's fine. But just stay away from like content that was wholly generated by AI. Medium articles. Medium is a magazine, and somehow it's very popular with first-year students. Maybe because, you know, the people who write on Medium, they write in a very easy to understand manner. I don't think that it's a bad thing. Okay, I think that there is a place for Medium in the world. However, some of the people who are writing, they may not have like the qualifications that we are looking for, right, to make this paper or to make the source credible. So just be very careful if you're going to use Medium articles, right? I mean, like President Obama writes on Medium as well. He publishes on Medium. So if you use a Medium article that was, I don't know, written by President Obama or some other, excuse me, famous author, I think that's okay. But do make sure not to, just make sure to scroll down and all the way to the end where Medium has this information about the author, and check who is this person, why are they writing, and like why are they writing it. Sometimes they do say that, so check. Okay, so I'm going to like do a small little note here that Medium article is kind of okay, but you really have to check. TED Talks are fine. TED Talks, they are very highly regulated. I would say you have to be invited. You have to be an expert or someone who has something to say, an opinion which is interesting, and then you get invited to TED Talks. So that's kind of okay. Newspaper articles and commentaries, definitely okay. However, I would say please make sure you are using but make sure that you're not going for articles that are like giving you stats, or like, I know sometimes they report on the Pew Research statistics, and they give you lots of data, like hard data, like quantitative data. Those kinds may not be very useful because they just give you the data. They don't give you like opinions, right? Or they don't give you arguments for a certain thing, to do a certain thing. So we are looking for those. We are looking for sources that have arguments, or sources that have opinions, well founded, well researched opinions that you can use to then drive your thinking about your topic. Academic magazines are definitely okay, so please go for those. Make sure that you check again what kind of academic magazines they are and whether they are credible. YouTube videos are like iffy. I know that there are some TED Talks that are on YouTube, so I don't mean that you can't use those kinds of videos. I mean like just anyone who can create a YouTube video, so don't go to those kinds, I guess, unless like that person is pretty well known in, I don't know, gaming community or in like the non-profit community, and if they are credible, yes, you can use their YouTube video. If they are not, stay away from it. Okay, where would you want to go to look for these appropriate sources? You can go to your week 6 unit 4 tab in your notebook. We have a whole list of sources, a whole list of websites that you can go to, or even like search engines to use to look for your sources, right? So if you want to go for a podcast, Spotify has that. If you're talking about like food or businesses, if you're writing about the culinary a topic, then you can go to heritageradionetwork.org. For articles, you can go to any credible newspaper's website. Scientific American is actually pretty fun, so you can do that. The Scientific American one is interesting because sometimes it's the authors of peer-reviewed journal articles that go and write like a short summary, or they discuss their paper a little bit more in the article on Scientific American. So try that out. That might be quite interesting. For videos, you can go to TED Talks website, or like newspapers websites too. They have some good videos there. You can do a Google search, but make sure that you don't take like just the first 3 that come out on your Google search. Try and go through like a couple of pages, like maybe 3 pages. Okay, like go all the way to the bottom, then click on the second page, and then look at that. Sometimes those are interesting too. They just aren't popular. That's why they don't get to like the first 3 search results, right? That pop up on your website. So yeah, don't just take the most popular ones, okay, guys? I also want to mention this, that if you are going to use an audio visual source like a podcast or a video, that's fine, but the other source then has to be a text source, right? So it has to be like a written source. So you can have two written sources, or you can have one audio visual source and the other one needs to be a written source. All right. Okay, now we come to the fun part of searching, I hope. I call this the blog building search strategy, and this is on page 48 to 49 of your course guide, right? Think about the concepts that you have now in your assignment 1, right? You're going to use those concepts, think about them a little bit more, like maybe use synonyms or related concepts, and you're going to use those related concepts to look for sources. Okay, so some of you might actually feel very tempted to put your entire research question into Google search. I would say don't do that, because that means that you will have a source that answers your question very directly already, and then I would be like, why are you writing an op-ed then if there's something else or someone else has already answered this question, right? So yeah, try to look for indirectly related sources so that they can push your thinking a little bit further and you don't get just like the easiest answer out of your research. All right. So to maximize your use of the search engine to find relevant sources, what you want to do is first break down your question into its main concepts. Okay, so how you can do that is you can think interdisciplinary. Okay, you can think about interdisciplinary questioning in that maybe for a topic like, let's say, the environment, right? Because it's such a general topic, there may be many different disciplines that in their own way and using their own approaches try to tackle issues and problems to do that are situated in the environment. So they have different ways of thinking, and that's why it will be fun, or hopefully for you, if you can go to if you can ask yourself like, okay, what would an architect think about my question, or what would a sociologist think about my question, or what was like an engineer think about my question. And if you can think about how maybe different concepts in different disciplines could relate to your question, you may have a more interesting way of looking at your question. Okay, so try and think interdisciplinary when you are looking for concepts. Or even like think interdisciplinary when you're deciding on sources. Okay, so maybe one of your source might be from the sociology side, and the other source can be from the engineering side, right? So that gives you two quite interesting views on your topic. And then the third step would be to mix and match the keywords. So don't just look for like don't just enter one search term that would make your the results like very broad. But if you can use like a couple of search terms, for example, like mine, it was like barriers plus enjoyment, then that would narrow down the search a little bit more for articles that are related to your topic. So I'll give you an example of the steps, right, that I was talking about just now. So my RQ this semester, or my research question this semester, is why do we let skepticism prevent us from being entertained, right? So here already you can see that there are three main concepts, right? Skepticism, interference, or like prevention, and enjoyment, right? So these three main topics. You can actually see how I do this in my my own Google Notebook as well. Yeah, so you can go to my Google Notebook and go to the tab week 6 unit 4. You can look at how I'm doing my blog building search. Then the second step, I would generate a list of related keywords or synonyms under each concept. So there's a table there, the blue columns part, that table. So what I've done is for each of my main concepts, I have 3 related or concepts, or maybe like synonyms as well. You can go antonyms too. You can go through the opposite of words. Maybe that might give you some interesting articles as well. Okay, so for skepticism, I have things like mistrust. And actually, when I did the search, I realized that mistrust is the wrong word. I think I switched it to distrust after that, distrust, and that got me more relevant searches. Yeah. So you can do something like this. This is probably like a good time for you to use AI, right? You can ask AI to give you a list of concepts that are related to your main concepts, and you can use those and put them in the search engine and see what comes out. All right. So this is where you play around with the keywords or the key terms. And then lastly, you mix and match the keywords across the blocks. So for me, my first block was on skepticism, right? So I used mistrust, and then I found like not so important articles. So I decided to change it to distrust. I had distrust, disrupt, or was it distrust, barrier, and enjoyment. I put it into a search engine, and a list of articles came out for me. So let's see whether I can show. Oh, okay. I'll show you later, but now I want you to try this by yourself as well. Okay, so in your own notebook, under the week 6 unit 4 tab, can you do this? Okay, place your question. I know that by this time most of you would have handed in your assignment 1 already, I think. So just use that question that you use for your assignment 1, your research question. Use that. Or if you haven't decided, you should have. If you haven't decided on a question, you would probably know the concepts, right? So use the concepts and put them in the second row, the medium blue row, like concept 1, concept 2, concept 3. Put them there, and then start generating or thinking of like a list of like 3, maybe 3 to 5 words for each concept. Okay, it can be associated keywords. Okay, it doesn't have to be synonyms. It can be associated terms as well. All right, and then enter them into the search term, into the search box, and then see what happens. Look at the articles that come out. Okay, so if you go to, you can do this on the TED Talk website. You can do this on Google Search. You can do this on Google Scholar or the NTU Library, even like the newspaper website. See what comes out. For those of you who like to use Google Scholar, you can link your Google account to the NTU Library, so you can have free access to the journal articles that NTU Library subscribes to. So if you enter a search term or search terms into Google Scholar, and like a list of articles come in, right, they are returned as your search results. If I'm not wrong, on the right hand side, sometimes something comes out like, access through NTU Library, if it's like if you hit a paywall, right? So on Google Scholar, if you see access through NTU Library, just click on that link, and then you will be able to and then it will take you to the NTU Library page where you can download that journal article. Okay, so this is only if you are using Google Scholar to search for the article, and you don't get like free access to all the articles, obviously, but only the ones that NTU Library subscribes to. But NTU Library subscribes to like quite a large number of journals, so I think most of the time you will be able to get access to the articles behind a paywall. All right, so here are the steps. You go to Google Scholar, you go to your settings, library links, search for Nanyang Technological University, check the box and click on save, and then from then on your account is linked to NTU Library. Okay guys, and make use of the school fees that you are paying to NTU. All right. I want to introduce this to you all. I don't know if you know this, but there is a new AI research assistant in the NTU Libraries website. You can see at the top here, I've circled it, but I'll circle it again. Oh, I don't like that circle. But yeah. Right, so this part here, this one that you see only comes in after you've done a search, right? So if you go to the NTU Libraries website, you don't see it immediately. What you have to do is you have to search for something, and then it'll take you to this page where the search results are, and then on the header menu you can click on Research Assistant. It's an AI one. Or you can click on the link in the slide right at the bottom, and that will take you straight to the Research Assistant. Now, why I like this, and also a little bit of why I like a bit, not super on board with this AI research assistant, is because, let me show you. There are some caveats here, right? Don't put in your research question into the research assistant search box. That will just limit the exploration and bring you straight to the destination. Like what I said just now, anywhere that you copy and paste your research question, you put it in, the results that are written will just, most of the time, really just answer the question directly. But you're not trying to answer it directly. You're not trying to get to your destination the fastest. You're trying to explore it and to really look at your fish, if you remember, to spend time with your data. Okay, so try not to do that. Resist the temptation, guys. The other thing that I don't like, though, is that the AI RA will generate overviews of the sources for you. Some of you are rejoicing internally right now, but again, don't use these generated summaries or overviews in your writing. Okay, please don't. Okay, firstly, the overviews, and I saw those. I tried looking at them. The overviews are kind of more general, and they also are overviews of the 5 research papers that articles that the AI research assistant has provided for you. So they are an amalgamation. It's like they take, it's almost like they take the abstracts from each of the articles and then they put them together. Yeah, so that could be, if you use the overviews, those could be giving you information that you actually don't need, or referring to information that is not in the article that you actually want to use. So be very careful, okay? It might be giving you information that you actually don't need, and then you put it in your op-ed if you actually do use it, which you shouldn't, okay? And that will just mess up the summary, your academic summary. All right. So yeah, do the harder thing, even though I know it's difficult, and your midterms are coming out and you're like, why? But really try to read the article by yourself, so that you know what the article is talking about. Okay, so the overviews are not the same as the academic summaries, which are usually more focused and which are usually having that slant that you want for your op-ed. So here I give you an example of what I was explaining just now. If you take your research question and you input it into the search function, right? So the sources that came up for me, you can see how they are all kind of like the effects of skepticism, right? So they all kind of but also not quite. I think my research question is not something that people tend to do research on, maybe. So the articles that came back seem to be not super relevant, not yet. So I'm not sure. But let me show you what happens when I use search terms instead. So if I use search terms instead, the previous set of articles in the last slide was on the effects of skepticism, but here now I have a variety of articles that I provided when I use search terms instead of just copying and pasting my research question into the search box. Alright, so here article 1, I have interesting things like cognition is a matter of trust. So skepticism, I have now the antonym, which is like trust. Okay, kind of interesting. There's cognition, there's like what else? There's trust in organizations, and then there's trust in augmented reality as well. So the situations in which skepticism can be seen have broadened in a way, right, for this search. So I think these might actually be more relevant and at least give me more information from different points of view rather than the previous one. Alright, I am at the end of this recorded lecture / tutorial. Yay! Okay, so what you have to do now is to complete your block building search table. This is not compulsory. If you have a list of keywords that are associated with your concepts, your main concepts from your research question, that's great. Okay, you don't actually have to like finish the block building search table. If you don't know what search terms could be good, it might be nice to just like spend about 10 minutes on your block building search table and then use those search terms to go and look for a source. All right, so maybe we can all just focus on finding one written source. Okay, just one written source by the end of this session or this 1.5 hours. Try to maybe enter the search terms into Google Scholar or the NTU Library, or even like Google, or even like any like Scientific American or a newspaper's website. Go and look for that and come up with one written source, and then you can see here that I have a screenshot, right? So this one is part of your week 6 unit 4 tab, right? I need you to write down your question and then give me the name of the source. It's very important that if that source is something you think is interesting, you should download it. Okay, download it, because sometimes like some, I don't know, South China Morning Post, or I don't know, some newspaper websites have paywalls, right? The first article you read is, and you think, oh, it's really nice, and you think, oh, it's online, I can go back to it, but it's behind a paywall. So any article that you think might be interesting, can you download it? Okay, and then you can put it into the folder in your personal Google folder. There's a sources folder, right? Download that written piece and then put it into the folder. All right, and then I want you to write a brief summary of the source. You know how to do that already. And then 2 to 3 concepts or keywords from the source that help you to maybe think about your topic. So yeah, sometimes they the author or authors may have used different ways of talking about the topic. You put that down here. Okay, put that down over here so that you can see whether these concepts are helpful to explore for maybe like the next source that you want to look for. All right, okay, good luck everyone. If you are on Gather Town, I am around. Please come and look for me if you are wanting to check like whether a source is good or not. And for those who are watching this on their own time, text me or send me an email, or just reach out, if you want to check if your source is appropriate or not. All right, okay, good luck everyone. Bye.